We're here in Gifford, Illinois, and you can see behind me a large pile of trash. All of this stuff has been pulled from the city in the aftermath of the tornadoes. The entire side of this building is completely blown out. The water was rising above some of these no parking signs. Her family says she got into the car of somebody she knew and they drove off. Much like this ear of corn, you have to peel back the layers to get the full picture. An officer here on scene told us that nobody's injured and the fire is out. They hope to remain in Gifford as long as possible to help with the recovery effort. They didn't quite have the materials necessary to open up the detour, things such as barricades. Nowadays, they're not looking outside your car or inside your car. Actually, they're looking underneath it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the river, on the west side, some say people over here are being left in the dark. A camera like this is so small, so unrecognizable, that chances are you'll go into a bathroom and not even see it. That funding has been chipped into piece by piece, little by little. This most recent cut, however, may have the biggest impact. But what happens if you're caught stealing cable television? Some companies don't immediately throw the book at you. At Mediacom, for example, it's 3 strikes and you're out. In Iowa City, Jason Hackett and
Emma
for Fox 28 News. Tiffany, police say the devices were discovered on the field after a game Tuesday night. Tonight, as they work to nail down a suspect, parents and coaches are reacting with surprise and disgust.
Thanks.
It's almost hard to imagine someone stealing the innocence from such an innocent game.
My kids play over here all the time, even when they don't have baseball games, they're over here playing with their friends.
But here in Cascade, just miles away from the famous Field of Dreams, parents are hearing their worst nightmare.
Unfortunately, there's some kind of sick people out there.
The Dubuque County Sheriff's Office says the 2 cameras found were similar to these.
They're cheap. Once you have your recording, you just go plug it into your computer, your laptop, and you would have a full video.
And if you blink, you'll miss them. Police say a camera like this is so small, so unrecognizable, that chances are you'll go into a bathroom and not even see it. Deb Bertling, who lives next to the field, finds it extra disturbing.
You never think it's going to happen in your own backyard, and it literally did, unfortunately.
It's also troubling to coach Jim Reinke, whose team was on the field across from the bathrooms Tuesday night. He says none of his kids were affected.
Hopefully we'll figure out some answers as it comes up. I'm sure the kids will be wondering and want to know some answers to what happened too.
Police say the incident doesn't warrant panic, but they do encourage vigilance. As for the person or persons responsible,
I think they should get the book thrown at them.
Well, I hope there's some justice. I hope there's some apologies. I could tell you some things that I really want, but probably aren't appropriate for this time.
Now, Lynn says they do have a suspect in mind. Depending on what they find in the camera, their charge could go from a serious misdemeanor for invasion of privacy to a full-on felony for child pornography. Jason Hackett, Fox 28 News.
CBS 2 News reporter Jason Hackett continues our team coverage tonight in the Mound View neighborhood, where residents say their homes are falling apart and help is nowhere to be found. Jason?
Yeah, Scott and Tiffany, several homes are in pretty bad shape out here. We're actually standing in front of some of those homes right now. You can't even see them because they have no power. Foundations are falling apart. The smell of mold and standing water lingers in the air. Some residents even tell me that they've been victimized by looters. All they want out here is a little bit of aid. A generator churns away at Sherry Kirk's home. That's because she hasn't had power in a week.
We're just overwhelmed and just, where do you start, you know?
Not to mention the contents of her basement now reside in her backyard.
We also lost furnace, water heater, washer and dryer.
Neighbor Krista Williams no longer has a basement.
My daughter went around with a flashlight and said, "Mom, you don't have foundation left." I said, "You got to be kidding." Lost my husband last year. Now I lost my house, I lost my car. I've got nothing left but me and my kids.
Others are bracing for impact. So there's a legitimate fear that this house is going to fall on top of your house.
Yeah, even the engineer said that.
They are just a few of the stories on A and B Avenue Northeast, 2 blocks devastated by flash flooding. A surprise to most here, because after major flooding in 1993,
they promised us in '93 after the storm sewers were put in, we wouldn't flood again.
The city says that's not likely.
Certainly someone's not going to tell them that Mother Nature's not going to dump so much water on there that
Whatever system is there is going to be able to handle everything.
Elgin says they will take a look at the facts and the piping system to see what options are available. That will happen in the next 30 to 60 days. Residents say they need help now.
Nobody from the city, nobody came down to help. We're just forgotten here.
Brent said Check Mercy Hospital, said, oh, they're back up and running, there's no problems. What about coming around to the neighborhoods?
Many of the residents I spoke to say the damage at their home is beyond repair, and they may have to abandon the homes that they've lived in for 30 to 40 years. We're covering the corridor here in Cedar Rapids tonight. Jason Hackett, CBS 2 News, 10 at 10.
CBS 2 News reporter Jason Hackett joins us with part 1 of the final Citizens Police Academy.
The CRPD uses the X26 taser, one type of electronic control device. Police Chief Wayne German says it's the most effective tool he's experienced since he joined law enforcement. He says it reduces injuries on both ends, suspect and officer. Academy students who were brave enough got a taste of just how effective it is. From dangerous
taser, taser, taser
to necessary, society's view on electronic control devices hits both extremes, and both sides have their arguments. The human rights group Amnesty International says there have been more than 300 deaths related to the taser brand since 2001. But Chris Smaby with CRPD says none of these cases show that the taser was the direct cause of death.
The taser got them, and as a result, something happened afterwards. What we call excited delirium may have kicked in. They were on drugs. They had other issues going on.
Smaby says the power of these devices isn't lost on police. They have to get stunned before they can even have one, as demonstrated here by Sergeant Christy Hamblin.
It always reassures me that I don't have to do it again.
And now, as Citizens Academy students come up on graduation, it's our turn.
What we're doing now is sending a shock wave from here to here.
First, the clips were applied. Each student got down on the ground, and then...
Is there anything particular you want to say before this?
Oh, Mary, Mother of God.
Laughter literally turns into shock.
Would you tell me your name again, please?
Landon.
Landon? Okay, where'd you go to school, Landon?
Lindmar. Oh my God.
And the longest 5 seconds of your life. At the end, no one was hurt or injured. But the impression they leave lasts forever.
It was like a pulsating, like every muscle in your body tense up.
It's very humbling when you don't have that sense of control. You get newfound appreciation when you experience what it'd be like.
An appreciation that gives perspective to officers.
It's something to just not use lightly. They need to make sure they use it during an appropriate time.
There was no sweeter sound today than the hum of a working car engine. But it's a luxury that many in the corridor weren't afforded.
Very frustrating. Couldn't make it into work today.
Enter Jan Dillon.
Give her a shot, see if it's old.
Who on this day is nothing short of a superhero.
We've been pretty steady today.
With her trusty radio by her side.
Orchard Drive, Northwest.
She flew, better yet, drove from neighborhood to neighborhood.
A lot of batteries, a lot of flat tires today too. And just cars that just plain wouldn't start.
Along the way, she rescued damsels.
It's my daughter's car. She came out to go to work and it just wouldn't do a thing.
And even a couple of dudes in distress.
I had a friend come over and try to jump it. That didn't work, so I figured that was the last resort.
From the word go this morning, conditions were less than ideal.
And I wanted to go back inside.
So imagine tow truck drivers like Jan having to deal with it for nearly 12 hours.
I don't mind the cold, I just don't like the extreme cold.
And as a cold day began to give way to an even colder night, Jan's day continues, because for any superhero, the work goes on.
Till it's done or till they get sick of us. No.
The airport. It's a constant cycle. People come and people go. It can be the scene of both happy hellos and grim goodbyes. But Wednesday night is different.
So Grandma's going to greet him up there, and then they're going to turn the corner, and then...
E6 Staff Sergeant Rick Ryder served in Vietnam from 1969 to 1970. At the time, public opposition to the war was strong, and when Ryder got back home, the welcome was less than warm. His son Kenny was barely old enough to remember.
I was 6 months old when he came back, so I didn't get a chance to do any cheering or yelling for him.
But that is about to change. Rick was selected for a trip to Vietnam for Purple Heart recipients. It was a chance to visit the country he once marched through as a soldier. It gave his family an idea.
He never really got the welcome home that I felt like he deserved. He makes a sacrifice for us, so we all made the sacrifice for him and showed up.
So armed with flags, signs, and hats, a soldier got his proper welcome. And more than 40 years later, hello became hello again.
I guess I'm at a loss for words. Pretty special. This is pretty cool. Yeah, it's way cool.
In a terminal full of a never-ending cycle of highs and goodbyes, Rick Ryder got the best greeting of them all, one that was decked out in the red, white, and blue he fought for 4 decades in the making.
All you gotta do is read the signs.